Hi, hi.
Hi.
Okay, so on to lesson two. Last time you got familiarized with the basic concepts of the game. We spoke a lot about the core mechanics and at least about the early stages of the game, the basics of it. And
Yeah.
then you had some homework to play through the first tier of the tutorial and then play a couple of games to your leisure for the week up until this lesson. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I trained to see how a handful of supports play. I have progress with some. Others, I don't know. I still haven't gotten the hang of. Um they don't look as easy as I think they were. but um but I still gave it my best shot. I haven't been confident enough to play with players versus bots, so I've just been playing with bots, and that's a whole confusing mess on its own. I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
Um so first of all, I want to I got the beginning of the game down. I know what I have to buy, the items, the sport items. I know what the dynamic early game is, but because because of the bots, I couldn't really advance to a realistic mid and late game scenario. So I have questions about what are my priorities in items as a support mid to late game. Roaming, who should I follow around? Because obviously, like the carry does his carry stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then people start going into jungle. They start having random fights here and there. Some people stick together. Most times, the bots didn't go in groups, like concentrated. It was like going hint there and there in different places, and I was because I got frustrated and confused. I just stood and pushed,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Okay.
don't think really advanced my skills further than me practicing working with courier, which I think I have a decent understanding of. At least like the commands.
Fair enough.
Uh, all right, and then my next question was warding, because I know as a support, my one of my roles is vision. Um, that's one of the things I think I struggled with because I don't know what I guess you would say meta spots to ward are.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know like to ward the runes in lake. But that's about it. I have no idea where to ward where to optimize my warding in jungle. Do I ward our jungle or just the enemy jungle? And I don't. Also, now I remember, I don't know what the thing in like the middle of enemy jungle is. The thing that we have to like turn from red to, well, I mean from
The
blue to red or
outpost.
red to
Yeah.
blue. Yeah, the outpost. What's that for?
All right. So, with what you just said, combined with the feedback that you wrote in short on Discord earlier, we will go over a couple of points today. First will be your itemization after the early game. Second will be the runes, like the starting bounty runes, and then both the follow-up bounties and the river runes.
Mm-hmm.
What are they for, and what is your role as position 5 in that whole picture? Third point is roaming. When should you start roaming and why you should be doing it? Then what's your purpose, your role in the game after the early game stage? Because as you said, the bots are not are far from ideal representation of how the game should be played, especially if you are playing with easy bots. And We'll shed
Oh,
some light on that.
I already got my ass kicked by easy bots. Don't diss on the easy bots. They can do some stuff. At least the enemies.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's always the enemy team is always the better one, true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then what the
My,
heck is that green-red building in the jungle for? And we'll only lightly touch on the wording because that's like a whole epic tale of itself. And for dessert, we'll go over the couple of heroes which you got to like after trying out a bunch of them. And
Mhm.
I think that's a pretty good plan for today's session.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me create a custom lobby. You can join my team.
All right.
All pick.
All right. I'll start with Lich.
Okay.
I really like Lich, especially if my carry is like melee, or if I have like in the team there's like a strong melee character. Like I had a game with a Juggernaut, and we were just smashing all the ass. It was amazing.
Nice. Okay, so before we go to the mid to late game items, show me what are the starting items that you're buying.
Okay,
I
so I'll
mean,
lock
buy them and I'll
in.
see them in like half a minute when we
Not to
start.
be confused with lick.
Okay, so I have this, 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 and I I forgot what Iron Branch is for, but I know I have to get one too. All right, so I bought two trees.
I am the messenger
So
of those gone by.
Okay.
so I bought Tango. I have 6 Tango, 1 healing salve, 1 clarity, 1 mango, and 1 ward.
You can buy one sentry ward and the second mango as well.
And
Or instead of a second mango, oh no, just one sentry.
uh
You could sell them in the next 30 seconds and get all your gold back. Yep. So just
okay.
one observer and one sentry. And 2
Okay.
branches now.
2 branches.
Yeah, and basically after you place your sentries, your wards, you have extra space for the rest of the items. For now you could swap the quality with the branch, because you can keep the quality in your backpack until you need it, but the branch gives you
30
stats
seconds
the
to
entire
battle.
time it's actively in your inventory.
I
Okay,
see.
so basically these are great items that you could start every game as position 5. Obviously, as we spoke last time, nothing in Dota is cemented in stone, and the better you get, the more you start to experiment and deviate from cookie cutter builds, and you can optimize certain things. This is just as important for your starting
Hear
items
me.
as it
I
is for
speak for the
everything
king.
else. But at least for
I
now,
wonder
this
how
is
this
a
will
great
turn out.
starting build that covers everything that you need level 1 as a support, pretty much. And yeah. You also asked what the branch is for. So you could have... first, the branch by itself gives you 1 to 0 attributes, which for 50 gold is good stats per gold ratio. So you
Mhm.
get 2 to 0 stats, which is like 40 maximum health, maximum stamina, 2 damage, etc, etc. It adds up, the little things. When you have only, let's say, 2 tangos left and you want to eat them yourself, or your carry wants to eat a tango, you could place a branch on the ground. So let's say um, like this, you could cast a branch. It will stay there for 20 seconds, I believe. Yep. And then if you eat it with a tango, it will have twice the duration than a normal tree. So basically, it's like eating 2 tangos in a row instead of one. And that
I
way,
see.
you can consume the branch, and like, you will need extra inventory space later on, and the branches will just block your slots, but that way you still use the branch instead of just selling it. And sometimes you might not need to eat it, you can just sell it. Another thing is, if you open the shop and you click on the branch in the shop, it shows that it builds up to a magic wand. So if it's a game in which you will need a magic wand, you can also keep the 2 branches for that wand, because it requires 2 of them.
I
So
see.
that's the 2 ways you can use it.
Okay.
Okay, so what other items are you building in the early game as a follow-up items when you have the goat?
Okay. So I
You could type, let's say, this and give yourself some gold and just buy them now, if it will be easier for you.
yeah. Uh just dash gold.
Mm-hmm. Empty space and then like 99999.
Okay, dash gold. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Okay. So I in the I can only see basics here.
Yep.
Um
At the top you can change to upgrades, or if
upgrades.
it's easier for you, you can click on a basic item that builds up to the item that you want and click at the
Right.
bottom then.
All right. So yeah, I usually get magic wand, but I don't build it up to holy locket. Um
Mm-hmm.
I also get myself either tranquil boots or the other ones, the one the
Arcane boots.
arcane boots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh I mostly make a force staff
Okay.
because it was I don't know, it's just always recommended.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Your middle tower is under attack.
then there are then there's the either agonium staff or the shards.
Your
Okay.
top tower craves your
They're
attention.
always recommended, or ring of basilius,
Mm-hmm.
uh, or headdress, that I get recommended to build. Again, I have no idea if any of these are even like. I think I once managed to get a Aether's lens.
Okay.
Uh, but I don't remember for which character that was. And and then there's uh yeah, I think that's it. That's mostly what I build.
Yep,
Uh,
those are all great support items, of course, depending on the situation and hero, but they're good, so that's the correct direction. You're not building damage to kill them faster with stronger auto attacks, for example. Okay, so alright, as you said, you're building first your boots, tranquil boots or arcane boots.
mm-hmm.
Uh, it used to
And
be set in stone that usually your first item should always be boots, especially in the early years
The
of
pieces
the
move
MOBAs.
cautiously on the
Don't know how
chessboard.
it's in League exactly. As you said, you were playing League a lot before. But yeah, usually it's a good idea to start with boots any boots in Dota as well. Sometimes you could optimize by either delaying them as a
Something
second
wicked at your
item
middle
or on
tower.
certain specific unique heroes skipping them altogether. But you're not going wrong, especially at the start of your Dota career by starting with boots. As you said, you're going either with Arcane Boots or Tranquil Boots. Both are good depending... Like, both are always good. Sometimes one of them is better than the other, though. And with practice, you will
Your bottom
start
tower is
making
being
guesses
invaded.
by yourself. Should I go for this or this each game? Um, let's
Your bottom
say
tower is under
you're
attack.
playing Lich. Usually, especially once the early game um, is over
Your bottom tower
and you
is
move on
being
to the mid
invaded.
game, you start roaming a lot, you start fighting a lot. If you glance over your spells, they don't really cost too much
Your
mana, so
bottom
you can
tower is
usually cast
being
them a couple
invaded.
of times before you go out of mana. The only one that costs like way more is your ultimate, and that's usually after you hit level 2 on the ultimate and so on. So for that reason, especially since you're roaming around the map a lot, you need to get from point A to point B in time in order to reach fights and help. Tranquil Boots is usually better.
A spot of trouble at your top
Especially, let's say you
tower.
join a fight, you survive, you don't want to always go straight back to base. Especially as a support, uh,
Your top tower is
especially if you
under
win a
attack.
fight, but even if it's like 50-50 as well, because if you lose it and you're a support, you're usually dead anyway. Uh, it's really good to use the small time window of, let's say, half a minute or up to a full minute in which the enemy team is mostly or completely dead to place down some wards and, as we're saying, gain map control. Like the guys that needs to farm usually go and push lanes and make money and experience out of that, and that's how they create space on the map by pushing your waves, and the creeps being further into enemy territory provide information for your team. The supports, however, usually do it by going straight to um, important for you warding spots, and both place wards that are good for you and try to deward the enemy wards that you're trying to guess where they are, and
You
remove
can
the
only
space from like information on the map for the enemy team.
right, and you can only do that if you know where the typical warding spots are.
Yes, as you get better at the game, you will start figuring things out based on the enemy players. Let's say you see the enemy carry farming here at the top next to his tower. He's sitting there for like a full minute, he's hitting creeps, and then you decide to TP here, like so, and you start walking up to him, and you're about to catch him with Chaco and kill him, and all of a sudden he walks back. It's pretty safe to assume at this point that he probably has a ward around this area, because the moment you showed up in the vicinity of his hero, he he suddenly just ran back. So you can
Right.
start using the enemy's movement to give you information where their wards are. That makes it easier to deward, and you start utilizing your sentry wards better instead of just randomly placing them on popular warding spots and hoping that the enemy team has a ward there or not.
And I also was looking at this
Your bottom
this
tower is
this
under
stone right here.
Yeah, so it's yeah, you can kill these creeps. It's not just this one, there are many around the map like this. Let's say here or here. They are
Yeah.
even a bit visible on the map, like small highlighted circles, you could say.
Uh-huh.
These
Yeah.
are the default warding spots, which
Uh-huh.
on your level pretty much everyone will be using them, because let me ship um, I'll get some wards as well. But basically, we can make a test. We can make an example why these heals are good and bad at the same time. Wards. The way vision works is, let's say, stay there, don't move. Okay, so right now we have vision up to this point. If you walk down here, correct?
Yeah.
So if I climb up on the hill, it's basically the same vision, but the idea is that if you are staying on higher ground, you are providing more vision. I just moved further north, and that's why we see up to the same point. But yeah, if I go down, and let's say I wasn't blocked by trees, I would be seeing less. So for that reason, if you place an observer on low ground, you will see up to a certain distance, but if you place it on much higher ground, you will see a bit further away. That's one thing, and also, obviously, this ward down here is getting blocked by the trees around him, because that's the main benefit of higher ground. If you click on the ward itself, you can see the blue highlight, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it barely looks northwise, because everything in the other three directions is blocked by terrain and trees. But if you check on the ward on the hill, it sees freaking everything because it's looking from the sky. And this is good. And it's also bad because it's gonna be the first place, as you said, which are the popular warding spots. Oh, this one is. I'm gonna place a sentry there if I'm on the enemy team. So for that reason, the enemy team is usually going to try to deward these spots first. And if you place your observers there, they're most likely gonna get destroyed very quickly, if not immediately. Also, when an observer ward gets killed, now, unlike in the past, it gives a lot of gold and experience to the one who destroyed it. Like, experience is shared around the world, but the gold goes to the one who... Actually, the gold goes to the guy who placed the sentry, who bought the sentry in the first place, but that's a bit more convoluted and unnecessary for you right now. But yeah, observer wards give gold and experience, and both for this reason and for the reason that they're limited, and if all of your observers get killed, you can't just buy more always. You need to wait for them to restock in the shop. Like, let's say if look at the shop right now. There's one observer ward, and another one is getting restocked. But if I buy the last one, you can see that the next restock is in a minute and a half. So they're limited. Observers cap at 4 and sentries cap at 10. This is another good point. Since the wards are limited, any moment in time in which you have your wards capped in the shop and the enemy team does not, they are basically having more total amount of wards than you are, so they have more resources to work with. You should never have your wards capped in the shop at any time in the game for any reason whatsoever. Even if you don't need to place a ward right now, usually your sentries are getting capped because nobody wants to buy sentries since they cost 50 gold, it's the end of the world. If you see 10 sentries, just buy one. But especially as a support, you usually should be buying a lot of them, especially if the game is going like sorta well or 50-50. You are like the carries and the mid laners and all these PoC players are fighting big dick style somewhere around the map. They need items to fight. Meanwhile, you are fighting with the enemy supports by de-warding their wards and they're de-warding your wards. So it's like you're playing a whole other mini game of itself in Dota, the rune, the ward war. Yeah, so that's funny. So yeah, for that reason, never have your wards capped. So yeah, warding spots, these super tall hills that are all over across the map, if you just take the time to explore and look around the map, you'll see them, you'll find them. Fun fact, there are 4 spots on the walls of the map. So if you look at here, you can see a spot on the wall itself. So you can actually place a ward here, but you can't place it around everywhere on the walls. This is like a spot here, and
Right.
people
The
don't
designated
usually
spot.
use them. So on higher rank, people start using them way more, but on lower rank, people don't even know that they're there. So yeah, some heroes that can walk through trees, for example, are really countered by these ward spots because let's say there is this hero that is a big small walking tree. He usually buys an item which has an active ability that allows you to destroy towers from the trees without the tower even seeing you, and he just sits in the trees here and casts the item at your towers. If you place a ward here, you can see him in that weird area in that forest, and you start fighting with him for that spot, and you try to chase him away, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as I said before, wardings and how to ward, where to ward, and obviously the different stages of the game require completely different have completely different priorities on warding spots because let's say if your carry is the bottom lane at the start of the game, if you're Radiant, later on he moves to the top lane, then he moves to a triangle, then he starts pushing mid, then he wants to take the enemy triangle, and based on these many factors, including these ones, you need different wards in different stages of the game for different reasons. So it's really complicated, but obviously you learn things by starting with basics and gradually building on top with
Like
experience and
knowledge.
information. Yeah. So you can start by instead of me just straight up giving you place your wards here information like I gave you for your starting items at the start of the game. Try to use either these tall hills or open spaces around areas that you are playing in certain stages of the map. So for example, when you start the game, if you're Radiant, you're on the bot lane, you could place a ward either here in the jungle or here in front of the enemy tower, and this will give you a lot of information about the enemy heroes. Let's say you are fighting 2v2, that's cool and all. 5 minutes into the game, the enemy mid laner might decide to teleport on the tower in the fog behind the enemy heroes, and all of a sudden he jumps and kills you. If you have a ward in front of their tower, it will provide you with the information that hey, a third guy showed up, we should walk back and not get caught, stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
for now, try to place wards by your own judgment based on this, where I'm playing and where I need information, and then try to figure out which warding spots per se give you that information, and next time we can delve deeper into that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's for the wards for today. Second, third point is runes. So at the start of the game we have 4 bounty runes that spawn when the timer reaches 0. It starts from -1, goes to 0, and then starts going up. So 1 minute into the game, when the timer reaches 0, we get the 2 bounty spots, generate 1 bounty rune, but also the river runes at the start of the game are not the normal river runes, they are bounty runes. So we have 4 bounties that start at that spawn at the start of each game. And unlike river runes, like this regeneration rune here, when a bounty spawns, it doesn't despawn when 2 minutes go by or 5 minutes or whatever. It stays forever until picked up or destroyed, because you could destroy a rune like that, like a creep. It shows in the chat as well. Gmob was denied regeneration rune. So usually when you want to destroy a rune is if you know that an enemy hero will reach the rune before you, but you can shoot it from a distance and destroy it like just before he reaches it, that's when you want to destroy it. Otherwise you usually want to pick it, and this is a good example of bounty runes not despawning and stacking up on top of each other.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So each rune gives you X amount of gold to you and everyone on your team, regardless of where they are, even regardless of if they're alive or not. fun fact, since you mentioned Pudge earlier, Pudge can actually hook runes, all runes in the game, and drag them towards him, and he gets his mana restored if he hits a rune with the spell. So just a fun fact there.
Oh, like it gets refunded.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
but if you missed or somebody runs in front of your hook, obviously not.
Uh,
So you asked what you should do at the start of the game about these bounty runes. Usually what people do is they send most of their heroes to claim 2 of the 4 bounty runes, and the enemy team sends their heroes more or less the same way. Sometimes one team, there's like this bloodthirsty guy on one team. Guys, let's group up as 5 and we can go into the enemy jungle or walk from behind on high ground and kill them while they're waiting for the bounty. Usually this works like 90% of the time, even on high immortal games, because there's always at least one person sleeping and gets jumped and killed. Not the end of the world, but at the same time that team claims first blood, usually, and first blood gives extra gold, so it's like a cute little boost to your early game as a team. And you also get a bit of experience, so that extra experience could be helpful, quite helpful on higher level, because if you hit your levels faster than the enemy team, you become stronger a bit earlier than them and you can make certain plays, which otherwise, if you both hit level 2 at the same time, obviously you don't have that slight advantage, but that's like niche and doesn't really matter in your games right now. Because even if you get that early experience, your random teammates won't actually use that tiny power spike that gets provided by this. But
right.
like throwing it out as info so you can let it
In
rest in
case
your
some,
mind for the future.
yeah, if anyone ever like, if I have a game where someone thinks he can do a big dick play.
Yeah, or you could push people. Let's say if you are in a game where you get that first blood and you get a bit of extra gold and you know in advance, okay, our lane is pushing, which means that more creeps on the enemy team are dying than the creeps on our team. So we're obviously gonna hit level 2 faster than them. You could say in voice chat or with pings or even with a bit of text, okay, we hit level 2 faster, you cast your stun, I cast my Frost Nova, we kill them, go. Usually that's enough for the monkey brains in that game. Joking, cause obviously, but yeah. You could push the initiative by yourself. The fact that you're position 5 usually means that, as you stated last time, as you have noticed from your time playing League of Legends, the support players are the ones that have, let's say, more free time on their hands from mechanical actions, and this allows them to observe the game as a whole from ego point of view better and more often, and that's why usually team captains in Dota are supports and not carry and mid players, because they can make more frequently better and more correct calls than a carry who's always busy thinking, gotta get this last hit, I gotta buy this little item, I gotta do this, I gotta stack the camp, I gotta make more gold. Gold is important, guys. And obviously he cares way more about his wife and not getting killed than you are. I mean, it's not like your wife is irrelevant, but if a carry dies 5 times, it's more or less the end of the game in most cases, unlike, let's say, a support dying 5 times. Oh, nice, you got one of the best support neutrals. And yeah, so we went on a tangent a bit, but basically bounty runes. Usually the teams spread around claiming 2 runes for each team. What you can do, more specifically as straight up information. Oh, this is a perfect case. Now it's night time. The start of the game, the first minute is also night time. So you're waiting for this rune to spawn. You could stay here on these stairs and wait for the rune here. As you see, you can barely see up to the rune spot. That way, you are shielding yourself from a potential enemy dive or like an invasion. Let's say people are coming from this way. or this way. These are the two main directions that people would try to walk up to your rune spot and either fight you or chase you away to steal your rune. If you stay here, you see the rune spot, and the moment somebody shows up, you know that if it's one person, he's never alone. It will be always a group of people, and you should always run back unless you're also with a group of heroes. But like if you're a group of heroes, you'll be probably going into their jungle, you won't be standing here. So if you see somebody showing up, you immediately run down, and you're as further away as possible from potential enemy invasion that you could be. If you don't see anyone, let's say the rune will spawn in 2 seconds, you could start walking up to the rune. Again, if you see someone, you start running back. If you don't, you just pick up the rune and you secure that rune for your team and you go back to your lane.
Okay.
If somebody on your team, when you're playing with people and not bots, makes a call, let's fight for like a river rune, or let's invade the enemy jungle, especially as a support, especially as a new player, just follow the call and group up with your team and see what happens. Like, if you get completely obliterated, afterwards or like after the game, try to think about why that happened and learn from it. Because if you never go for runes and if you never make plays, you will never put yourself into situations, you won't gain the experience, and you won't learn from mistakes because mistakes never happened in the first place. And mistakes are great. Mistakes give experience and knowledge.
Yeah, there's only so much you can learn from just
Theory crafting, yeah.
genau.
So this is the bounty runes. Later on, bounty runes spawn every 3 minutes, I believe. I'm brain farting right now and I'm not actually 100% sure, but I believe it's every 3 minutes. And basically you want to go and pick them up if you're not 100% busy with other actions at this time. You want to be there as the rune is just spawning. You should be arriving to the rune spots just as they spawn, instead of
Waiting, because that is wasted time.
yeah, or like if you come too late, if the enemy supports came to pick up the rune just as it spawned and you came 5 seconds later, the rune is already gone and the hero is already gone and you just wasted time walking back and forth for nothing.
Yeah.
But again, bounty runes are not the end of the world.
They're just like a little bonus that you can get.
Yeah, so if you have more important things to do, like stacking camps or like helping in fights, those are your priorities. Bounty runes are low on the priority list.
I see.
So that's for the bounty runes. The river runes are the last thing in that section. They spawn every 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 minutes, etc. Every 2 minutes, starting from minute 2. There's something different in Dota today than the way it was in the past. On minute 2 and on minute 4, you don't get the typical river runes, you get the so-called water runes. They are like, they give a bit of health and mana, like just a little. If you have a bottle, you could use them to half refill your bottle, but yeah, they're not your usual runes that used to spawn in the past. They did this change because, let's say you're fighting mid, it's 1-on-1, it could be an even fight, and then a double damage rune spawns on minute 2, guy picks it up and 100% kills the enemy player. And now your game is over 2 minutes into the game because you got screwed by bad luck. And with these water runes on minute 2 and 4, now the game is way more balanced, with way less RNG, and it's more up to the players how the game will turn out and who will be the better one. So the normal runes actually start spawning at minute 6. You have 5 different runes, and as you just saw, unlike bounty runes, these ones despawn when a new rune shows up. So we just was the illusion rune. So yeah, we have 5 runes. This is the blue one, the double damage rune. You pick it up for the next 45 seconds. You deal double damage with your auto attack. Usually great freaking rune for your carry, your mid laner, even your offlaner, heroes that hit really hard and want to hit people. If like your playmaker heroes pick up this rune, they will usually make a call, guys, I'm coming to like a side lane, let's kill somebody, let's destroy a tower. It's that good. You have the green regeneration rune, you pick it up, for a couple of seconds you get all of your health and mana restored. You could use it to, let's say, if you're a healer, you cast all of your heals, you deplete your mana completely, then you pick up the rune, and while your rune is regenerating your mana, you can continue spamming spells because it will stop working either after some time passes, which is more than enough usually, or when you are completely regenerated, so there's that. You get the yellow rune, the illusion one. It creates 2 illusions of your heroes. Usually people just let them die or leave them or don't do anything with them, but you can do some really mind game plays with them, but that's for the future. If you're, let's say, a carry, you could just pick the illusions and send them to farm jungle creeps or lane creeps for you, because as a carry your illusions will actually do damage. As a support they will usually do nothing almost.
Right.
You have the purple arcane rune. It gives you less cooldown on your spells for certain durations and less mana cost. And there's the invisibility grey rune, which, well, makes you invisible. Usually, if the mid laner sees it, especially like minute 6, minute 8, he picks it up, straight up goes to a side lane to make a gank, because, again, invisible. And then you need to be looking at the minimap, noticing that the mid laner is gone and just trying to guess where the heck he is, based on, like, game knowledge and information. But yeah, that's for the future. So these are the 5 runes. How do they matter to you as a position 5 support? As I said, minute 2 and minute 4 you get these water runes. They are not all that significant, although they could be game changing in like super higher MMR. What you should mostly care about is the minute 6 rune. If on minute 5.5, let's say, you can leave your carry alone and you know that he won't get destroyed on the lane, what you could do is head to this rune if you're Radiant, like you're leaving the bot lane and you're coming here to help with this rune. You could say to your mid laner, I'm coming to secure the bot rune, you go pick up the top rune. Like the higher you climb the ranks, the more people will immediately realize what you're doing, even without you saying, but it's always nice to at least ping and communicate with your intentions beforehand, so people can
Right.
plan ahead. And what happens that way is, let's say both your mid laner and the enemy mid laner have an empty bottle. They have used, do you know what bottle is actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of the items that every time you return to the base, it gets filled up, and you can use them to heal mana and health.
But you can also refill that bottle with runes.
With the
So both mid laners could have an empty bottle at this point, and both of them are a bit low on mana, low on health, because they have been fighting, trading with one another. And basically whoever picks up the minute 6 rune gets a huge advantage over the other one, because he gets his bottle refilled, he gets the benefit from the rune itself, and it gives him a significant boost to his laning stage. And you as a support, by coming here and sending your mid laner to the other rune, you are making sure that regardless of who of you picks the rune, the enemy mid laner will never pick it. Because if they just go to each rune spot, it's like 50-50. And there's a 50% chance your mid laner could get screwed by bad luck. But if you secure the rune like that, you completely remove the RNG out of it. And the cool thing is that as a support, usually you have some kind of a stun or swall or whatever, and you could cast your spells, like your crowd controls on the enemy mid laner, just like to steal the rune away from him and run away. And screw him a lot that way.
Well, worst case scenario, you just destroy the rune.
Yeah. Just if you as a support get the rune, and especially if it's like an illusion rune, nobody really needs an illusion rune 6 minutes into the game unless he's gonna make some weird play. but you're making sure that he won't refill his bottle at the very least. So yeah, that's how you as a position 5 could use the runes in the game to impact your team in a beneficial way. Obviously you can do it later on minute 8 as well, minute 10, etc, etc, but the minute 6 rune is the first unique rune that spawns, and it's as early into the game as possible, so it's really impactful for your mid laner. Usually you won't be coming to do this in your first, I don't know, 50, 100 games or something, because you'll be too busy paying attention to other things, but it's something that again we're saying now just to plant the seed, so later on you can remember, oh yeah, I could just do that, and with more instances of this happening in your mind, you build it up and you start thinking about it when it's a good idea to do it, when it's not.
Right.
Okay, so that's about the runes. Next is roaming. When to roam and why to roam. So, as a support, usually, you're you're having fun on the lane, you're doing your thing, you're grass hitting creeps, getting your first levels, trading with the enemy team. One team could be getting completely destroyed and annihilated and whatnot, but let's say that it's like an even game, normal game. Nobody's raging, nobody's with 5 kills 3 minutes into the game, regardless of which team that is. And at some point, people start leaving their lanes, start roaming around, and this is, you could say that this is when the early game ends. When people just start roaming, you transition into the mid game, because the whole game changes drastically at this specific point. Most often, a mid laner initiates this transition, because let's say your mid laner hits level 6, and since he's alone on the lane, he will hit level 6 while you guys are still level 4 or close to level 5 on average. And he gets his ultimate and he's like, oh my god, I can kill people now, let's go! And because it's much easier to kill an enemy hero when there's 3 of you, he usually goes to a side lane. And like he starts pinging, makes the call, guys, kill carry top. And he goes to a top lane to kill the enemy carry with your offlaners. So, why is this good for you? It's because usually the enemy carry all of a sudden gets jumped by your mid laner. He starts screaming into the mic, help, TP, save me! And your mid laners, your offlaners, sorry, that you're playing against on your lane, they're like, one of us should TP and help, or like both of us should TP and help if they're really desperate and not thinking clearly. And they just leave your lane. And if one or two people leave the lane, all of a sudden your carry gets a free game, because they just up and leave. So if your carry has a free game, and your job is to allow your carry to farm and get stronger and richer,
I've become redundant because there's nothing for me to protect him from.
not just redundant, you become a hindrance, because now you just leech experience away from him by staying next to him. So yeah, that's usually a good moment to roam yourself. And in that specific scenario, for example, where your mid laner goes top lane if you're Radiant to kill the enemy carry, you have two options. You can either see him if he's communicating, or you're just observing the minimap. You can see him that he's going to gank, and you can just TP to the top lane, like on the other side of the map, and help with that gank in advance, which has the offside that leaves your carry like alone for a little bit. But again, you're putting immense amount of pressure on the other side of the map, so even if your carry keeps playing 1 versus 2, he might get bullied, he might get killed, but at the same time you are 3 to 4 people up there and the enemy carry is getting completely obliterated, his tower is getting destroyed, everything goes to hell, so it's like a trade. You trade your carries game a little bit, but you take away way more from the enemy team. Everything in Dota is a trade of some sort, of resources and numbers. So that's one way to roam. Another way to roam is if somebody screams on the mic or even calmly writes, please help me, I'm getting ganked, people are pressuring me, they want to destroy my tower, in like 30 seconds they will push with like a double creep wave, drop an ultimate, get the tower, please help. Then if obviously for now you can't really make a proper judgment call if this is a good idea to help or not. Let's say you go to help him but you never stood a chance of helping him successfully in the first place, so you just wasted time, you probably even died for nothing. But you can learn this by going, helping, and learning by experiencing the situation. So for now just do stuff, like try to do as many things as possible to gain experience as a player. And yeah, if somebody makes a call, come and help, you could usually go and help. A mistake that a lot of supports are doing is usually you have people screaming for help all the time, like from the beginning of the game. If you leave your carry 2 minutes into the game to help on another lane, this is usually a huge no-no. Don't go help people unless it's like at least 4 to 5 minutes into the game, at least. Because yes, you could go and help. Let's say you even actually help your teammate, you get a kill and your teammate survives. Now you're on the other side of the map. You are still like level 2, which is nothing. And
I don't have TP because that's what I used to go over there.
exactly. And you're stuck on the other side of the map. And by the time you return to your lane, your game is fucked. Because you would have spent, as I said in the last session, the small resources at the start of the game transition into huge resources at the end of the game. So let's say you make extra 50 gold early game, this could turn into like 1,000 gold potentially late game. But if you don't make these extra 50, you won't get the 1,000 later on. Same thing is for your experience and your levels. If you stay on the lane in the first minute of the game, you will get an extra level. If you stay on the lane for 1 minute when you are a whole hour into the game, you won't get any meaningful amount of experience. So early game experience and gold have huge value, and some like you need to do stuff and see for yourself. One game you will go and help, you will get a kill, you will save a person, and then you will still feel awful because we killed them. Why are they still like a full level ahead of us? This makes no sense. And you will start seeing these things. But again, experience. You're not playing on TI, you're not playing for money, so you lose the game, but you learn stuff and you have fun. And that's perfectly okay and how it should be. And yeah. So to recap, once the early game ends, usually start roaming. So your other question as a follow-up to the roaming one was, what the hell am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
Early game ended, all the bots are running around like headless chickens. I have no idea how to learn from this situation. I need a grasp on things, please.
Yeah, I need like a you know like a safety like you know like those little floaty things that help you swim.
Yeah. So, uh, my favorite word in Dota. It depends. Mostly depends on your hero. Let's say if you remember the hero oracle that I mentioned last time, it's like a very one-dimensional hero who is really good at saving people. If you're a hero like Oracle, your job is usually to start following your most important playmaker heroes that are fighting with the enemy team a lot and always help in fights. If you're a hero like let me see which heroes I gave you last time. Let's say you're Shadow Shaman actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Your Ether Shock. Okay, let's see, we come here. What we did is bam Ether Shock and wave is pretty much dead. You get a bunch of gold as well, and what this is called, you have a really good wave clear. Like you go to enemy wave creep wave, and you can really quickly or instantly delete it, get the gold experience and leave. Because if you're a support like Dazzle, You more or less have to auto-attack the creeps. You spent a lot of time on that wave. You are not efficient in your time because Shadow Shaman goes, clicks, leaves, and he saved so much time. Dazo needs to stay there and hit. And you're also more vulnerable because you're visible to the enemy hero by hitting their creeps. You're not in the fog of war. And you could get killed, and in general you're less efficient at clearing waves. So some heroes, different heroes have different roles in the game, different jobs that they're good at. And as a Shadow Shaman, you have a good wave clear, which means that one of the things that you could be doing in your free time is to clear waves. And as we said earlier, by pushing waves, you provide information to your team, because if your creep wave is pushing all the way up to the enemy base, like right now, two things could happen. First thing is, one or more heroes show up to kill that wave. And now you have information. Okay, I see X hero hitting the creeps inside their base. This means that if we decide to, let's say, jump an enemy hero top left side of the map, that hero that we see in the base cannot help for the fight, and we are guaranteed to be in a fight without him. So you get information. By pushing a wave, a lane, you have information. Another thing could happen, nobody goes to defend that wave. You see that huge wave and nobody goes there to stop it. It's a huge amount of gold and experience that is both going to deal damage to the enemy tower and is going to go completely wasted. Like, nobody will claim the gold and the experience bound. So if nobody is claiming that wave, obviously they're doing something that they think is more important, which 99.9% of the time consists of killing somebody on your team or killing Roshan. And all of a sudden, oh wow! Bot lane is pushing, top lane is pushing. Okay, mid lane is up to our tower, but that's two lanes that are pushing and nobody is defending. They are 100% either doing Roshan or running around the map as a group trying to find someone on your team to kill him. And now you have information. So you as a support, by going to push a lane, is so beneficial to your team for all of these reasons and more. Also, on the lane early on, you are not hitting creeps to gain gold. So you're behind on gold as a support. That's why you're the so-called position 5, lowest priority on gold. But by going to push waves and shove them into the enemy base or tower, you get extra gold and experience that all of a sudden boosts your power a lot, because you are already low level, and by getting like a, let's say that wave with 4 ranged creeps, you go there and kill it, all of a sudden you get a couple of hundred more gold out of it, and oh my god, this means so much to me. I'm just a poor support. Thank you, thank you. You don't know how much I needed these 50 bucks to make ends meet. So yeah, this is good for you. And another thing, if your carry comes to push the wave, that's dangerous, because you're showing on the map to the enemy team in front of their creeps, and now they can, if they see you as a carry, they will, obviously you're one of the most important heroes to kill, they will immediately converge and try to kill you because you're pushing their wave. They see you, especially if you're deep on the map and you're away from your base, and it's harder for your teammates to save you. But on the other side, if you're a support pushing the wave, they might come to kill you, and even if they kill you, they have went to the other side of the map to kill a support that is not as important. You don't give so much gold in experience because you're low level, and you don't have you give less gold than your carry for a bunch of reasons that we won't go into now. Like, you still provide information to your team because at least 1, 2, 3 people showed up to kill you, and your team knows, okay, they're over there, so we can do this and that based on that information. And this is one of the situations where it's usually okay to die by doing all of these things at the same time. Providing vision, getting some gold and XP for yourself, forcing enemy heroes to reposition on the map to play based on your actions. And even if you die, this is like a trait that's in your team's favor. Sometimes you could even be ahead on gold and experience by dying, even though you got killed, because you went and killed a huge wave that was pushing, per se. So this is one thing about roaming. About what you could do after the early game ends. Another thing, as we said, is you could play behind your playmaker heroes to enable them in their actions. Let's say your mid laner wants to run around the map, killing people pretty much all the time, especially if he is one of the ganking heroes in Dota. By himself, he could be strong enough to get people down to, let's say, 20% health, but he could be unable to actually kill them, and it would take all of his spells, resources, and stuff like that, and he could still be in danger in that fight. Obviously, if you join that fight, all of a sudden things are much easier. You can you can initiate with Hex from the trees, he can land his spells, then you can hold them in Shackle, and if you're Shadow Shaman, he can keep hitting and you enable him to do his job better.
Yeah.
This comes with practice, like you don't know right now what the frick the enemy, your mid laners wanna do. Some heroes just want to literally AFK mid and hit towers and creeps until the end of the game. Like Dragon Knight. Sometimes. Other heroes, the moment they hit level 6, they immediately want to start roaming and killing people. And they don't care about towers and such. There's like 4 archetypes of mid heroes. You have the like the gankers, as we said, the passive laners. There are the lane dominators. This is usually a slow hero who does not want to run around the map, but if you stay and fight him, he will kick your ass to the ground every time. And then you have pushers, which are just heroes that can clear waves super quickly, and they're
Kinda like you.
they're constantly forcing you to go back to your lane and deal with the enemy wave that's pushing. It's all these like rock, paper, scissors archetypes of heroes are making the game really interesting to play, because let's say you're a ganker mid and you hit level 6, you wanna go gank somebody, and now you're thinking to yourself, okay, now if I go kill the enemy carry, even if we assume that I'm successful and I kill him, that motherfucker on mid will destroy my tower in like 30 seconds, and by the time I come back, he's already pushing my second tower. Is it worth it? And all of these questions and like decision making, all that decision making is what makes Dota really cool, because there's always 1 million options and you always have to weigh them and think all the time what's the best course of action, more efficient course of action, both for you and for your team. But that comes with practice and knowledge. You need to actually learn your mid heroes, like at least the 10-15 most played mid heroes in the current meta, which you will see them reoccurring all the time, and in a couple of games you will start seeing them. Like you see Queen of Pain, every time she hits level 6, she goes to kill someone and it will just click in you. And the next time you see Queen of Pain, you will think in advance, okay, on level 6 she will probably go to gank. I will try to think in advance how to play around this. And another thing that supports don't usually do, but is actually really good. Again, as we said, we're bot. It's minute 6, 7. Your mid laner hits 6, goes to gank somewhere. Especially if it's on the other side of the map. Now, the mid lane is empty. You are super low on experience and gold. Your carry at this point, let's say you have secured a good lane for your carry, he can farm even if you let him be by himself. Usually at least one of the offlaners has already left to like help against your mid laner ganking, stuff like that, or he is roaming by himself to try to kill people, or stuck camps in the jungle, whatever the reason. Your mid laner leaves the mid lane empty. By teleporting mid or running mid if you have Tranquil Boots, for example, you do two things. First, your carry gets full experience by himself, again, if he can actually farm without you. And second, you get a free lane for yourself, just like your carry. You get 100% of the golden experience a bit early into the game. So if you manage to catch that situation, it's gonna improve your game by a lot, because on your level, no support will notice these small windows of time in which he can gain these advantages, and you will be always way ahead of the enemy support without messing up your team's game. It's not like you're stealing farm from your mid laner while he's still on the lane. It's a good window of time in which you can take the farm, which will otherwise be lost to no one.
Right.
So yeah, but that's obviously again coming with experience. You have to see these situations, these opportunities to abuse them. But again, we're just piling up information, which by going over and over and over with time, you will start to memorize and remember in game while playing by yourself and trying to utilize it in action. But for now, we're just collecting data, per se. So yeah, lots of things that you could be doing, and the last priority, in my opinion, which a support should be doing most of the time, is stacking camps. Let's say, if you look here, new jungle creeps spawn every full minute. So if you look at the clock, it's about to become minute 57. Pop.
Yeah,
Now
I
we have
had
to
that.
cast.
Yeah, I had that a second ago. It happened to me, and I was like, "Wow, what did they just chill together?"
Yeah. So okay, I wanted to show something, but the camp is a bit dead. We can do it here. Okay. Oh, we lost the game. Oh well.
Oh shit!
The mighty creeps have vanquished us.
Oh yeah.
You could use ranged attacks and spells to stack multiple camps at the same time. Usually you could stack very easily 2 camps, sometimes even 3 camps at the same time. And this is really cool nowadays, because unlike in the past, that whoever kills the creep gets the gold. But now, when you stack camps, you as a stacker get gold when somebody else kills them, if it's someone on your team. So let's say you stack an ancient camp, and now you have 2 ancient camps in one place. If your mid laner or carry or whoever comes to farm it, you will get percentage of the gold from the second camp that got stacked. And basically, by literally walking across the map and paying attention to the clock, if you see that a new minute is coming up, if you stack a camp or 2, and later on, even if it's like 5 minutes later or immediately straight after, when somebody comes to clear that camp, you will get extra gold without investing basically any time whatsoever, just by stacking the camp or camps. And this is one way supports can grow super strong as time goes on, while giving extra to their team as well. So it's a pure win-win. Yes, let's say your carry is farming the stack, he will get only 70% of the gold from the second camp, but he will still get 70% from the second camp, or like the third or fourth. Let's say you stack the camp 5 times. He will still get way more than if the camp is not stacked at all. And you're also getting gold by the tons, especially if you're a poor support. So if you're not doing anything else, like pushing a lane, participating in a fight or even a small skirmish, warding spots, or literally okay, let's host another game so I can demonstrate it. Or you're literally playing as a shield basically for your team. You can join my team. you could be stuck in camps, and your team will be super happy for it. Everyone will love you, everyone will get richer, and life is better. It's similar idea when you go to the minute 6 and help for the rune. Like if you go and help your mid laner with the rune, he will be, wow, my support cares about me, I'm not playing a solo game here, this is awesome, and for most people it really boosts their morale and makes everyone's games more enjoyable. So yeah, let me write these down on Discord for you.
Oh, one thing we forgot to mention is the outposts.
We'll go over them in a bit.
What happens if all of the characters down where it says that you have a better chance to win with like certain characters in your team and less with others? What if everyone's like an arrow upwards? Is that we're the ultimate team?
Based on the game's suggestions, yes.
All
Based
right,
on reality, usually no. But
I see.
it's at least a good indication if it's like a good idea or not. Let's say,
I see.
and some heroes in general, if they have low win rate, they will always have an arrow down for most heroes because they're almost always losing. Not almost always, but even if it's like if a hero has, let's say, 45% win rate, this is a terrible win rate. Heroes should have around 50 usually. And even if there's like a 2% difference up or down, it starts to become significant in the current meta. Okay, so these are like the 5 major things that you could be doing sort of in that order, but obviously it always depends on the game and the situation.
Of course.
Okay, so that's one thing. You asked about the outposts, like the last thing on today's agenda. Outposts are sort of a new building in Dota. They've been in the last couple of years only. They went through many changes. I assume that they will get changed again in future patches, or at least their positions. Currently, in the last 2 patches, how they work is you have an outpost. Every full minute, your whole team gets experience. Just like the bounty rune gives you gold, the outpost gives experience to everyone on the team. It's not like a huge boost of experience, but it adds up. And if you're sometimes walking around the map and boom, you level up, it's the outpost usually.
I see.
So the outpost is also like a sentry ward. If you hold out while looking at the outpost, you can see like a blue circle around it, right?
Yeah.
In that area, which is like this area, you can see everything that's invisible. Like the enemy team can place a ward here. If the outpost is yours, you will see that ward. If it's like an invisible hero here, you will see him.
I see.
And the way to capture enemy outposts, because we can't just go straight up and capture their outposts right now. You could when they came out at first, and it was pure chaos, like people didn't know what to do all the time. Should they go, should they not? To capture an outpost, you need to destroy an enemy tier 2 tower. So regardless of which tier 2 tower you destroy, now the enemy outpost is capturable. And what some people are doing is... I guess we could just... What? Oh. Just buying some stuff.
The South seeks.
Welcome to the secret shop.
Divine rapier. So it must be.
I just wanna make a visual representation of how some games are often going in relation to the outpost. So it's like 15 minutes into the game. You have already pushed their tier 1 tower.
Jesus Christ.
And let's say your whole team is pushing tier 2 here. You have just won a fight, you have killed 2 or 3 heroes, the other guys cannot fight you. You are hitting the tower, you destroy it, and now it's a very frequent occurrence, especially on lower MMR. You move into the enemy jungle, you clear all the camps while moving, you take over their outpost, and then you walk down these stairs and you come and kill Roshan. This is a really nice sequence of events because first you destroyed their tower, which means that now they can't TP to their tower here and do a quick dash to Rosh. And when you take the outpost, they can't TP to the outpost either, which is very close to Rosh, like the closest building to the Rosh pit. And all of a sudden they have to run a really long distance on the map just to come to the Rosh pit. Also, by having the outpost here, you sort of have a bit of vision to see if people are coming, but naturally, while you're making that movement from the mid lane, you can place like a ward here, both a sentry and observer, so even if they come running at you, you can see them from very far away, unless they are smoked. But for that reason, you usually have at least one person stand here, and if 5 heroes come smoked, yeah, they could kill him and whatever, but he will break the smoke, he will break their initiation, and your team will be able to react instead of your whole team dying and they killing Rosh and basically game over at this point. So yeah, that's how outposts could be used. Like you take a mid tower, or like you take you take either the mid tower or the top tower in our case, or if we are on the dire team, we take the mid tower or the bot tower, and then we take the outpost because again, information on the map for your team, and you deny experience for the enemy team every full minute, which again adds up a bit. And then you start making plays around stuff. So that Rosh situation is very frequent, and it really goes like this, especially on on higher MMR. It goes like this every single time. So that's for the outposts. A bit simple buildings, but they add like a little extra oomph to the game and more variables which you could use to your advantage. And
I see. Why can't I pick up the Russian?
because your inventory is full, and Aegis is one of the items that cannot go into your backpack. Because Aegis is an item which you cannot drop. If you try to drop it or give it to me, it will give you an error sound and like show a pop-up message that you cannot do this action.
I see.
And for that reason, it's really important who takes the Aegis. Usually it's taken by your carry or your mid laner. But if, let's say, both teams are fighting in the Rosh pit, and your carry just got killed, but you are alone from your team is outside the Rosh pit fighting, but you're inside the Rosh pit and Rosh just got killed and the Aegis is there, but an enemy hero is running in to pick it up, obviously you take the Aegis for yourself, you don't let the enemy take it. It's a huge item, basically 2 wives.
So it must be.
Good for obvious reasons. But yeah. By the way, that exact thing that you just did, why can't I pick up the Aegis? Yesterday I played a high mortal game on rank, and we had a teammate who ran into the enemy team. They were doing Rosh. We couldn't really contest, but he still ran inside the Rosh pit. And he forgot to open space in his inventory, and he went to the, just as they killed Rosh, he stunned them. Okay, good. And then he stood in front of the freaking Aegis for 3 seconds, not being able to pick it up. And they just took it. High immortal, baby. Next level.
It's never too late to be dumb.
Yeah. But yeah. So there's that. Okay, we already went above an hour on the session, but you also wanted to go over like 2 or 3 heroes that you
Yeah.
liked. So which hero do you want to start with?
Well, I mean, I really like Lich, but again, if I don't have like if the bot I happen to be playing with isn't a lemon, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I just because I would like put all my stuff on the hero. Like I would put my shield on the melee hero. I'll first use my gaze, and then I'll use my frost blast so that they're not like when they come out of the hold, they'll also be slowed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yes, I'm doing plays. And then I see how the bot is like denying creeps. And
Okay,
I'm just
so I heard 2 things here. First thing is spell rotation or like order of casting. You are already actively thinking about which order to cast your spells to make the most out of them. If you
mhm,
use Frost Blast and then you use Gaze, obviously you are completely losing the slow effect on the Frost Blast. So you understood that you have to start with the Gaze first.
mhm,
The only exception is if you use Frost Blast first and it only has a 7-second cooldown, you can use the gaze after, and after the gaze ends, you can cast another Frost Blast shortly after. So you have
mhm,
to think about, do I want more damage as early as possible, or do I want the slow after the Sinister Gaze? So,
mhm.
but you're actively thinking about it, which is good. Um, I have no idea why you're level 5. You should be... I think... Ah, you didn't make an empty space before the number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's good. And the second thing that I heard is my idiot lemon teammate did not do the thing that he should have done. How the hell am I supposed to play? Welcome to Dota. The bots are already conditioning you to learn how to play with lemons. Uh,
Circle the
I
eh,
know, and it's sad.
That's actually really good because it's literally the same with people. They will do stupid shit and you have to deal with it. And if your mentality is where you start tilting and losing your shit and getting angry, you're no longer enjoying the game. And the moment you write something insulting in the chat or start screaming in the mic, the guys on the other end immediately will stop playing the game because most people just switch off and don't immediately stop caring about the game if their teammates trash talk them, and game is
Mm,
over. So
yeah. I'm not a confrontational person. I would never trash talk someone, even if I'm angry with them. I would just say something like, hey, better luck next time. You know, we'll get them.
So just remember that you are playing. The year is 2022, and We're living amongst. We're living in a snowflake world. With snowflake people, and sometimes you could mean the best of you could have the best of intentions and have the best of meanings, literally say good luck or good job, and people will still think that you're passively aggressive, insulting them. So keep that in mind.
Oh, great. Now I have to. Now I can't. No, just I won't talk to them. I just won't. I
Ah,
will just ping around and be like,
you arrived
okay.
at the correct station. Congratulations. Go off the
I
train and
I
don't leave that station most of the time.
like did I just graduate, Donna?
Yeah. Some people after 20 years of Dota still haven't reached that station, but you know, every train has its passengers. Uh, so there's that. But yeah, usually if you say good job after a successful action, nobody will get mad. But if you get destroyed and you say, oh well, happens or good luck next time, people are already salty, so usually just don't say anything, especially in bad situations.
Okay.
Um Yeah, if you're communicating with your team, 99% of the time, do it in order to communicate inside the game. Make calls or respond to calls. That's it. That's like super productive. Has as little emotions involved in that type of communication as possible, and it's usually very productive and successful and enjoyable
Oh,
for
I'm
everyone.
I'm sure that there is like somewhere in like the Dota niches there's like a secret passive aggressive language that I don't know about,
Oh
but
yeah, here's the obvious one. When that starts happening, top left of the screen, scoreboard, open it. Or in your
uh
case, it's F8.
if eh,
Yeah?
what's
Uh,
happened? I'm buying something.
no, it's like a scoreboard screen. You should be seeing top left of your screen, gray area with like you and me there at the top. If you
Uh,
press F8.
are you sure? I'm just hearing as if I'm buying yeah, I'm buying scrolls. I'm buying Tower Portal scrolls.
Okay, if you open your settings, again, top left the wheel, you go to
Yeah.
hotkeys,
Uh, hotkeys.
and then to the right side of your screen interface, scoreboard. What is your
Uh,
hotkey for scoreboard?
bu- 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 interface scoreboard. Nothing.
Ah, it should be
Something was
F8.
bound to happen soon.
F8. I don't know why I was buying town portals. I was just hearing like I'm buying something.
Uh, okay.
F8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so here in front of me, you to the right side, you have like a red circle, mute and report. If you mute people,
It is not time yet.
I think that you should not see their pings in general. You will not see their chat. You will not see their ping.
Players the disable voice and text from this player and report their players are reported to often may have their communication privileges suspended or revoked. Right click.
So if somebody is toxic, you can just press this button. But again, this will also report them. So don't report me right now. I don't think that
No,
it matters
I'm
in
not
custom,
gonna.
but yeah, just to be sure. And at the top right, there is like a little button with the same icon, team mute. Do you see it?
Yeah, team mute. Click to mute all players on this team the rest of the match, except those in your party, good friends, or your list.
Yeah.
Good friends list.
Usually you use these things if you're communicating with people, but if you go again to options and social,
Okay, social.
your allowed chat should be at the second line, friendly
Yeah,
players. Yeah.
friendly players, friends, party members, and guild members.
So you won't be seeing people's chat and you won't be hearing them using their mics in the first place, but if they're pinging, I think that if you mute them from the scoreboard,
So
it
it
will
must
remove the
be.
pings as well. And usually people spamming pings like that are
Coursing
worthy of a report for bad communication, so it's not
toward
like it's not
synthesis.
it's like it's not like you're doing a bad thing, like reporting a well-behaved player, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So there's that. Okay, but we're talking about Lich. We went on a tangent a bit.
Yeah. So I think I know the mostly the correct succession of skill of spells to like optimize an attack.
So as you said, you either use Sinister Gaze before Frost Blast if you want to hold down the enemy for as long as possible, or as I said afterwards, if you just want to do as much damage as possible in a quick burst, you start with Frost Blast, then you could wait with your Sinister Gaze and use it after the Frost Blast slow goes off, which is 4 seconds duration. Then you use the Sinister Gaze, and by the time Sinister Gaze goes off, your Frost Blast will be almost back up and you can cast it again. So you have these two ways of going with your normal spells. You
Right.
use your Frost Shield usually on your initiator. Let's say your position 3 offlaner is a fat guy with Blink Dagger who wants to go in the center of the enemy team. He is the perfect target for Frost Shield because you will not only apply all the offensive attributes of the spell to the enemy team, to as many enemy heroes as possible, it will also make your tank, like initiator, tankier, and he will survive longer, so the enemy team will probably refocus your more important heroes later into the fight. Sometimes you could use the shield purely for its defensive purpose, because on max level it gives a whole lot of 70% damage reduction against auto attacks. So especially later into the game, where the damage and slow of your spell becomes less significant, you will start using the spell more frequently on, let's say, your carry, like the guy who needs to survive in fights.
Right.
So yeah, that's the second way to use it.
Okay.
And your ultimate, as you said before the lesson, sometimes you cast it, it's great, but sometimes there's like 5 creeps and you don't hit any heroes and it sucks. So you...
And I hate my life.
Yeah, happens. So yeah, with practice you will learn what is the bouncing distance of the spell. Let's say you cast it on one guy, but you are not exactly sure if he's too far away from his allies or not for the spell to bounce. This takes
All right.
practice, like you can do
Like
it
the
in
boss
demo
range
games.
is apparently 600.
Yep, which is a bit like your auto attack is 550, your bounce range is 600. If you hover over your auto attack damage on the hero, you will see a green circle around yourself.
Yes.
That green circle in your case is 550 attack range. So
I
your
see.
bounce range is just a little bit longer than that green circle.
I see. So it's quite a bit. So I need to be very mindful of where the creeps are.
Yeah. And as we said in the last session, you could use Sinister Gaze to walk down one hero next to another to sort of ensure that your ultimate will bounce between them so they can't just run into the opposite directions and break the distance.
Right.
And that's like the basics of your spell usage. Did you try the Aghanim Shard?
Aghanim shot. Let me just buy it. Yeah, I did. Wait. That.
I meant the shard, not the scepter.
Oh, sorry.
The small thing.
Aghanim shot. Where is it? Am I blind?
It's in the consumables section, right under the tangos.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Let me just...
Now the keys that you should have pressed are transfer items and speed burst, which I think is D and F in your case as well. Yep. And when you click transfer items, your courier will bring you all the items that he's carrying and automatically head to the fountain, so you don't have to manually click that as well. Okay, so now that you have a shard, you have an extra ability, I Spire. Did you get to test it in a game?
No.
Okay, click it, like cast it on the ground right now.
How?
With your hotkey should be D. Yep. So, as you see, it has a huge range. It swallows everyone in that 750 radius by 30% for 15 seconds or until destroyed. It has 800 health points. Now you can... can we... don't remember what was the command to cast... to create an enemy hero, but basically you can cast your ultimate now. And even though it happened at the very end, your Ice Spire could be used if you're killing a single hero to kill him
As a
with your
bounce.
ultimate. Yep. Your
It's a
combo
bouncy
is
boy!
literally... Your combo is literally casting the Spire, casting your ultimate, casting Sinister Gaze, and holding the hero next to the Spire, and the ulti will basically kill him from full health.
Oh my god, that's so cool!
Yep. At the same time, as we said, it has a 30% slow in that huge area. So even if you just cast that freaking Spire in the middle of a team fight, it's insane. Like, people can't chase you or run away from you as good. It's really, really good spell. And helps with the bounces. So that's your shard.
Kill my support, motherfucker!
Yeah. Yeah, that's why Lich is one of the heroes which are really good for supports. You don't need items to kill people. You don't need items to save people.
I
You're
don't
great
have
without
anything!
items. And
I
your
have-
Aghanim Scepter makes your Sinister Gaze an AoE ability with 800 diameter, which is huge.
Damn.
Oh, yes, I completely forgot. And while you're channeling Sinister Gaze, you can cast other spells. So buy the Aghanim and try it out now.
Okay. Bu- 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 uh, uh, I forgot I don't have money.
Type the gold thing again.
Okay. So?
Yep, and from the secret shop you can get the point booster.
Okay. Go, my little darling, go. Faster. Come to me.
Okay, so now when you get the item on the next creep wave, I want you to cast Sinister Gaze and immediately after your ultimate. And your any other spell whatsoever.
Okay.
Yep, you can channel Gaze, so this is really strong because you start with your crowd control spell. You immediately gaze somebody and he can't act, and then you start casting your other spells, but now he's already stun-locked in a way. And you can cast your Spire, your Ultimate, your Frost Shield, your Frost Blast right as the gaze goes off. And yeah, that's why it's strong. And again, the gaze is an AoE spell, so you can... If all 5 enemy heroes are standing together, you can stun all of them with this. And don't forget that you're also stealing mana from each one, and you're restoring your mana to 100% always, if that happens. Yeah. So yeah, cool. That's cool. This is basically going over your spells and how they change with the Aghanim Shard and Aghanim Scepter. Any questions there?
No.
Okay.
I thought I liked this character before.
You also wanted to go over Shadow Shaman?
Yeah, Shadow Shaman, I would like, if we can start a new game.
This time we're winning though.
Yeah. Look at us. 2 level 30 characters, barely making it. What are you doing?
Little dragon raids, they're so cute.
Yeah, they're cute. I didn't say they're not cute. I just like. If this is how the battlefield will look like, I'm
No, no,
scared.
I
I'm
had 0
intimidated.
cooldown on my hero. Usually there's like 1, 2, 3 of them.
All right. Okay.
Let me tell you a story of dire and radiant.
And do you want to check any other hero besides Shadow Shaman so I can pick that hero?
I think I didn't give Dazzle enough credit. I think maybe because my team or bots and we didn't take full advantage of the the armor and like the buffs and the debuffs and all the stacks and stuff. I think I just it was just because of that I couldn't really see the full potential. And also Omni Knight, I like him, but I don't like him. I like him because he's like good and like I can see all of the potential for like, you know, for good support that will do a good job, but it's just I don't have the right circumstances to see him in proper use. Does that make sense? So I just want to go over his things again and maybe see if maybe I'm not finding the right opportunity to play him.
Okay. So pick whichever hero you want right
10
now.
seconds remaining.
Okay. Why is this pingy?
So first about Dazzle, he is a bit more complicated if you want to make him work to his fullest potential. But he can definitely be played on low MMR without obviously realizing his full potential and still be really efficient in your game. So the base of the hero is, as we checked him last week, his first spell is you select an enemy and cast a poison sting or like poison touch on him and everyone around him in a radius. And it applies a debuff which deals a bit of physical damage and slows them down a bit. And every time Dazzle hits them with an auto attack, he reapplies the duration of the dot and makes the movement slow stronger. So when you hit poison touch on someone, you want to
Keep like just hitting them with little pings.
yeah. By itself, the spell is weak, but if you manage to keep the duration going, it builds up by a lot. Also, if you look at the spell, it has two targets limit on level 1 and goes up by 2 targets on each successive level.
So 2 people can be affected by it.
Yeah, if I cast it on the wave here, it will hit only the main creep that I targeted and the adjacent creep here. And now when I hit that creep, I reapply the poison. So yeah, if you're... it's a really good spell, especially on level 1 as a support, because in most scenarios your carry will be doing what you're doing, last hitting creeps, and the enemy position 3 will be last hitting against him. Meanwhile, you, as position 5, will face the enemy position 4, usually here on the side, and when you guys start fighting, you just hit poison touch on him, and against most heroes, you will win that trade because he will either run back, and if he immediately escapes you, it's a bit bad for you. But if you manage to hit him a couple of times and reapply the poison, you will do way more damage to him than he will do to you. And even if he stays and fights you, then he's really screwed because that poison will never go away. And once he realizes that he needs to run away, you will have stacked your movement slow so much that now he can barely move in the first place, and you might even kill him. Hard to happen on level 1, but definitely doable once you hit level 3 and put 2 points into the spell.
I see.
On the Shadow Wave, as we said last time, by itself is a very weak heal and deals very little damage, but once you cast it on multiple targets, especially if the spell is leveled up, bam, insane damage, because it adds up from each target. So the heal is always weak on one guy, but if you heal multiple heroes that are surrounding an enemy hero or whatever, all of the heals will apply separate instances of damage, and like you see the spell, it deals 80 damage and heals for 80 on level 1. 3 levels later, like the max level of the spell, it's 140. It's not even twice the amount, it's less than twice. Some spells, yeah, check out your purification spell. On level 2, it's almost twice as strong as it is on level 1. With Dazzle, 4 levels in the spell are still not twice as strong as the first level. But because you have more targets, which the target count goes up, and the numbers still go up a bit. Let's say if you cast a level 1 Shadow Wave and you heal 4 creeps around an enemy hero, very safe for example, you will hit him with 320 damage if everything goes in. But if you hit him with a max level spell, this is all of a sudden 980 damage, which is more than 3 times the level 1 cast. So it's actually really good, but you need to be able to cast Shadow Wave on multiple targets surrounding an enemy hero. But it's really easy because, let's say your position, the enemy offlaner, position 3, is just standing in your wave last hitting creeps, and your carry is in his face, you could go in his face, and then you just cast Shadow Wave while he's last hitting creeps, bam, easy. Most people don't play around your Shadow Wave because nobody is used to that spell being strong, and you can sometimes even surprise kill people from 50% HP without them expecting it, especially on lower MMR. And for your ultimate, it's like the complicated part of Dazzle, which is hard to utilize its potential on early ranks, like lower ranks. You have 2 parts of the spell. The good juju is cooldown reduction per cast. You don't really think about it too much, especially early on. Basically, when you cast spells, every time you cast one spell, all of your other spells get their cooldown lowered. And you cast more spells more often. That's it passively. When you activate your ultimate, whenever somebody is affected by your spells, they temporarily gain or lose armor. So if I have used Poison Touch on that creep, and then I cast ultimate, actually, sorry, whenever I hit somebody with a spell, when I hit the creep with Poison Touch, he immediately lost armor. When I heal you, you're immediately gaining armor. Now you have 5+1 armor from my spell. If I give you another heal, it's 5+2, 5+3, and it goes up. The active part of the spell is that for each stack on you, if you look at your status bar, you have bad juju stacks.
Yeah.
Right now you have 10. For each stack on you, whenever I cast my ultimate, you get extra health. This is my ultimate right now. And for each debuff stack on the enemy heroes, when Dazzle removes their armor, they take damage. And when you click your ultimate, it applies all of these heals and all of these damages around you at the same time. And that's basically you want to use bad juju once you cast all of your other spells, so you can use maximum healing and maximum damage from bad juju. That's the simplest way to use it. Last spell.
I just now realized that when I cast Purification, it's like I fall down to a knee.
Yeah, cool animation.
Yeah.
And the grave.
Very detailed.
Yeah, you can don't heal yourself, just tank the tower.
Wait for me.
And boom, now you cannot die for 5 seconds.
Healing.
And at the last moment I heal you and give you extra time to survive, even though you were at 1 health at the end of grave. So basically you use grave to prevent somebody going under 1 HP. He still takes damage, but he cannot die. And while grave is active, the less HP the target has, the stronger healing he receives. So you want to heal him just at the last moment before grave expires. Then all of your heals will be much stronger. He will have bad juju stacks on himself, extra armor, and when you cast Shadow Wave for 1 extra bad juju stack, and you then cast bad juju, he will get all of these heal instances amplified by the grave itself. And this is how you use grave. Usually you are trying obviously to save like your carry, your mid laner, or your offlaner. Like let's say your offlaner goes in, initiates, casts his stuns, and then gets focused by the enemy team. The moment he is about to die, you cast grave, and now all of a sudden the crazy dude is alive for like 5.5 more seconds, and he keeps killing them, and they cannot kill him. And then when he's about to die after grave expires, you cast your heals on him, and now he has health again. And it's so crazy if you time your spells properly. But the trick to it is to be able to time your spells, as I just said, properly. Sometimes you will be expecting somebody to be able to survive. Let's say, as I said, you want to use Grave when he's at low HP. Yeah, but what are you doing if there's a Lion on the enemy team and he just ults him and kills him from like 60% health? He just dead then. So the better you get at the game, the better you'll be able to judge when you're supposed to cast Grave. You should cast it literally at the last moment before a person dies, but sometimes this moment is when he's already down at 1% HP. Sometimes he's literally at full percent HP. Imagine you're carry farming like this. Ow, farming, I'm hitting creeps, I'm so happy. And all of a sudden 5 heroes jump and insta-kill him. You don't have time to wait for him to drop down to 1% because this will happen in split of a second. You need to immediately cast Grave.
Yeah, because as soon as we see him, we see all the other players.
Yeah, and for this reason, Dazzle is really good. Being when you asked me earlier what the heck am I supposed to do after the early game ends, you're one of the heroes as Dazzle who can stay behind key teammates, key targets, your carry, your mid laner. You don't want to constantly follow them because you're non-stop leeching experience, but whenever you think there's potential danger for them to get ganked, let's say everyone is missing on the map from the enemy team, then you could start staying behind your teammate, and the moment he gets gone on, you cast Grave on him, and you What happened with the sound effects here? Okay, that bugged. And you potentially save him then with Grave. Another really cool thing that you could do, that we can't do because Aghanim Shard is on cooldown for 5 more minutes. If you buy Aghanim Shard, it's really strong on Dazzle. Like, some shards are just good, some are basically 100% necessary to be bought the moment you can. With Dazzle, it's as soon as you can buy it, it's a good idea, because then your Poison Touch, which hits up to 8 targets, becomes also a hex. Like, remember why unhexing people with double your Shadow Shaman? You do the same cast by hitting people with Poison Touch, if you have Shard. And it casts hex on up to 8 people. So you can hex the entire enemy team if they're grouped up together. It's only for 1.75 seconds, so almost 2 seconds. But usually these 2 seconds are time of day in a fight. Like, you get gone on by the enemy team, you're hexed for 2 seconds, it's 2 seconds in which you're watching helplessly getting mauled down and destroyed. And yeah, that shard is really good. And your Aghanim Scepter, again, a bit harder to use, like to use its full potential, but basically if you have an Aghanim Scepter, you have extra 50% cooldown on your active items as well, not only on your spells. And the other reason why it will be a bit hard for you to use early on is that Good Juju, which is a passive right now, becomes an active ability. And let me demonstrate it as well.
Healing here.
Go, Speedy Courier.
Travel on.
Actually, did we use... We used what the fuck, so I... what the fuck is like no cooldowns mode.
A spirit dazzle.
And I don't think that I can turn it off now, but okay, so I can demonstrate it, but Good Juju becomes an active spell, and you can use it on a teammate to refresh all of his to refresh all item cooldowns. So let's say you have 4 stuff in your inventory, you use the 4 stuff, I use Good Juju on you, sexy spell effect, and then you can use 4 stuff again. So
Use it again? Ah.
So it's very situational, and you want... I mean, Aghanim's Scepter is a very expensive item that you will rarely be buying as a position 5 support anyway, but just mentioning it so you know. Okay, and about Omni, what are your questions about Omni?
So, Omni Knights. Sorry, I just get the gold. I don't know. I think maybe it's because I'm playing a melee character, and I'm just like, I now with no cooldown, the purification works very well. But like when I use it on other character, like on all of the like mobs and stuff, it not the mobs, sorry, on the bots and stuff, it's like it doesn't do anything.
How do you use the spell?
Well, I click it on top of someone and it
Yes,
does the
but
thing.
when do you decide to use the spell? What
When
prompts you to do it?
they are being when they're in a fight, because they're surrounded by people and I want to give them a little bit of a heal and also do damage to
Yeah,
the
okay,
others.
so that's correct. And
Okay.
as you said, there is a wonk cooldown to the spell. Lich, for example, has 7 seconds cooldown on Frost Blast on all levels.
I mean, Lich has a lot of cooldowns, and I've made my peace with that. It's worth
yeah,
it.
but Frost Blast has only 7 seconds, which is actually a pretty low cooldown on a high damage nuke spell. Meanwhile, Purification has 18 seconds cooldown on level 1 and still 12 seconds cooldown on the last level, which is almost twice the cooldown of Lich's first spell. So usually you're gonna use Purification once per fight, rarely twice, because either people will run away or will be dead by that time. Later on in team fights you're gonna use it more often, but speaking for early game during the laning stage, it's usually once per fight. You have to make sure that when you heal either yourself or your carry, it needs to actually heal the person. You don't cast it on somebody who's at full health, because it's like a wasted resource by not healing someone. And
yeah, I can give them tango or anything if it's like a small thing, or I can cast my W and give them small regeneration. I'm talking about when we're in the middle of battle. It's like a little thing to keep them, either to give them an opportunity to escape, or if they are the idiots that are usually programmed into being bots, they just stay in battle a little bit longer.
Yeah, basically your purification is a classic trade spell. You give HP to an ally and you take HP away from enemies. So you want to hit as many enemy heroes as possible when casting the spell, at least one on the lane. The better your opponents get over time, the it's gonna be rare where you're gonna hit 2 people with purification, but at least one. So you want to apply both the heal on yourself or the carry when there's health missing, and you want to hit at least one enemy hero. If you do that, you use the spell pretty well. If you use Purification and Heavenly Grace, in which order do you cast them?
I first cast purification, and then when they put a little distance away, I cast Heavenly Grace if they're slowed or anything. All of this I've actually been able to use successfully when we were trying to escape from people rushing us. Like I would throw the Hammer of Purity to slow them down. If they close the gap, I would cast Purification. And if my carry is slowed, I would cast Heavenly Grace.
Okay,
Worst case
so you
scenario,
cast
Guardian
Heavenly
Angel.
Grace to remove the slow or whatever the spell is from your carry, yeah. And in general, you always use it on your teammate because you always get the cast on yourself as well. There's no reason to cast just on yourself if there's an ally next to you.
Which one? Heavenly Grace?
Yeah. Cast it on me. And you also got it. It always works like this. You should always, if there's an allied hero next to you, you should always use the spell on somebody else and you will always get it for you too. And in your case, last time I mentioned that heroes have primary attributes. If you hover over the damage on your hero, you can see that the strength stat is highlighted in red, correct?
Yeah.
This shows that your primary attribute is strength. So by casting Heavenly Grace on whomever, you also get the spell, and you get extra base strength from the spell, which is the first line of text in the bonuses. And this means that it gives you extra auto attack damage. So whenever you start a fight, if there are no spells that you're waiting to remove, let's say you're only fighting against heroes that hit you, they don't slow you, they don't poison you, no debuffs. So if you don't want to remove a debuff, you should always cast Heavenly Grace when you start fighting with the people. And then you will be doing extra damage with your attacks because the spell gives you strength and damage and makes you stronger. You will be losing less health because your health is going up by a percentage, and you sexy as fuck that way. And earlier when I asked you which order do you cast the spells in, it was because, as you said, when you first use Purification and then Grace, your Purification heals a higher percentage health than if you first use Grace and then Purification, because that's how simple math works.
Yeah.
And yeah, Hammer of Purity, pretty self-explanatory, deals pure damage, ignores armor and resists, slows people down. And if you read the first line of text, it deals bonus based on your base damage. And when you cast Heavenly Grace, you get bonus strength, which means that your base damage increases. And if you want Hammer of Purity to deal more damage, you should first cast Grace and then Hammer, instead of Hammer and then Grace. Because cast Hammer on a creep now. It did 138 damage. Now cast Grace and then Hammer. 139 damage. It varied a bit, but basically it goes up. Because you get only very little bonuses from level 1 on the spells, but if Heavenly Grace is max level and Hammer is max level, the bonuses will be much better. And your ultimate, once a fight breaks out and 2 teams are fighting, you cast ultimate, you're immune to physical damage. And for example, Dazzle's first spell deals physical damage. That is also a spell which will not do anything because it's physical. Just a small example. And that's about it. You don't want to use your ultimate too early, because let's say the enemy team runs at you and want to fight you, But if you pop your ultimate, they'll just run back, and your ultimate will be wasted. But if they fully commit to a fight, and they're literally in melee range with your team, and then you cast your spell, then they really screwed up.
Yeah,
For
like when we're in the thick of battle and everyone's like half down.
Yep. So your shard is really good. Usually you don't want to buy it as soon as the timer hits 15-minute mark because you have more important stuff to buy. But once you can afford it, your shard passively swallows
Something
everyone
bound to
around you
happen
in
soon.
400 radius by 40%, which is a huge swallow. They're basically not moving at that point. And now that we actually hit that mark, I can also show you the hex from Poison Touch on the next wave.
Spiritual journey.
Look at
Oh,
that
yeah.
insanity. Boom. Let me level up the spell. Everyone's picks, everyone's hexed. It's so strong. It's insane. So yeah, this is an insane hex that you should be buying as soon as you can. Omni Knight's insane shard. Omni Knight's shard is really good, but you can delay the purchase a little bit if you have more important stuff to buy first. And usually you do, because as position 5 you don't have that much gold. And your Aghanim, I think it was increasing the duration of your ultimate. Yep. Okay, so 3 things it does. Your ultimate lasts longer. Your ultimate is global, which means that you can cast it from across the map and still catch everyone from your team with that ult. And also everyone gets 40% status resistance. Status resistance is something that did not exist in Dota the last time you played. Basically, it lowers the duration of crowd control effects, of debuffs. So if I stun you for 2 seconds and you have 50% status resistance, the stun will only last 1 second. And 40% status resistance is really high for Dota. Very few things give status resistance in the game, and it's usually less than 40%. So that's really good. But again, getting Aghanim Scepter on Omni Knight as position 5 is a really luxury item, as we call it, and you won't be doing it in most games because there are much more instant impact items for lower prices. And that Aghanim only works for ultimates every 2 to 3 minutes, and that's only if you don't mess up the ultimate, and sometimes it doesn't even change the outcome of a fight, so yeah.
I see. Alright. I think I have a better idea now, because, like, I think it's mainly because when I'm playing on my own with, like, bots and stuff, it's like, okay, I think I understand what this is doing, but why isn't it doing anything in particular? You know? I don't see the immediate result of the skills.
Insert Hades meme. Yes, I get the concept.
Exactly.
But you're not sure why you don't see the effects that I'm showing you in demo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not this is not on you. I'm just like, when you demonstrated it to me, it looked so much more impactful. Even now with like 0 cooldown is like, yeah, I'm melting people. But
I mean,
like,
even without the code, if you just cast the spell once, it heals for 300, which is quite a decent number, especially taking into consideration that once you heal and then cast Heavenly Grace, essentially you have healed him for much more, like 400 and something.
yeah,
And
because you have health regeneration and stuff.
and maximum health increase, yeah. And yeah, the health regeneration also is really strong, especially oh yeah, they changed that down. But yeah, on level 10 you can increase the duration by 4 more seconds, essentially making the skill permanent, because it has a 14-second cooldown, and with that talent it has a 14-second duration, so the moment it goes down you can reapply it, and you can have yourself and another person with 100% uptime on Heavenly Grace, which is freaking insane once you're level 10. And yeah, the 50 base damage is really good. I usually go base damage myself, but this is because I know how to push my limits as a position 5 and both hit people and not die. But for now, I suggest that you go with the duration because it will just be more reliable and feel better. If you are not actively hitting people with the damage, it's not worth going for that talent.
Right.
And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I usually go for either like status effects durations because I feel like in combat those are the I'm not the one making like the big damage plays. So I don't really rely on like doing those things. That's what the carry's for. That's what the mid is for. They do the big damage. I just give them the opportunity to deal the damage.
If you're Lich or Lion heroes like that, you do the damage, but yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You don't need items for that to do it.
Yeah.
And if you go 50 damage on Omni Knight, if you don't have attack speed, which comes from items, you don't really make good use of that damage, for
Yeah.
example. And yeah, that's about it. Did you have questions for Shadow Shamans? Just go over it with a couple of sentences.
One last thing about the item. Again about the mid level, mid late game
Aha,
items.
the items. Okay.
Yeah. So I just keep buying like Tango and Mango and Clarity and Healing Salve
Okay, so
and
once
just
you...
like small supportive items.
It's
I mean
good
in
that
a
you're
proper
buying them,
game, not in a bot.
because most people don't continue buying them, and they lose the war of attrition or the regen war, however you want to call it. Basically, everyone buys not everyone, some people just refuse to want to win the game, but usually everyone goes on the lane with some sort of regen, even if it's just one set of tangos. And once that regen goes out, they don't buy more. And if one team buy more regen and the other doesn't, the team with the regen can actually sustain on the lane, they can keep fighting, and the other team will either die or will be unable to continue fighting because they don't have health. And they will stay AFK under the tower, while the other team is free farming and doing literally whatever and walking all over them. So the fact that you keep buying regen is really good.
The
But
thing is that, like, a little bit later in game, the bots already have, like, a full inventory and they don't react to the fact that I've given them Tango in their inventory and stuff. And
later into
I'm
the
very,
game,
very
tangos
butthurt.
don't really do much. Like tangos are for the first couple of minutes into the game, because they heal for like 100 and a little bit, and it takes time for that heal to work. If you want to heal people once the early game is over, you do it with healing salves, because you don't have to you don't need them to have a free inventory spot, nothing. You can literally cast the salve on them and it will heal them,
Yeah.
as long as they don't
Okay.
get hit. So later into the game, forget about tankos, just salves and qualities. Don't buy more. Usually you don't buy more mangoes. They're only for the start of the game, if you buy them at all. You restore mana with qualities. You can use it as obviously on teammates as well.
I see.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I actually, as a carry, because I oftentimes have 2 to 3 qualities as a carry myself, so I can... Basically, I invest 50 gold into a quality, so I can cast a few more spells in the jungle, but I make way more than 50 by casting my spells, and it's like a little investment that I make. But sometimes
Yeah.
I buy a bit, like 1 or 2 extra qualities that I eventually don't need, and when I pass by a support or my mid laner and I see him without mana, I just cast the quality as a carry on him. So you can do the same thing, especially as a support.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mainly what I do, but like that was the one thing that I got really upset about. I'm like, oh, but I'm helping you. Why you don't take my help?
Yep. So purification and salves are the way to heal people.
Okay, then I will do that
Yeah.
instead. All right.
And you also said earlier that you don't know necessarily what to buy.
Yeah,
Mid to
like
late
what
game?
is yeah, exactly. What are the because like I buy all the like suggested support items, but I don't really understand what they're for. It's more like buy item.
So basically, you have a couple of options as a support. One is the 4 staff that you mentioned. You can usually buy 4 staff on any hero, and it will always be a little bit good to insanely great, depending on the situation. This will come with experience and game knowledge.
Yeah,
Another
I don't think I use it correctly because I use it to like when I'm trying to get away from someone when I'm being ganked,
You
or
can
like
also use
I
it on
use
other
it to
heroes.
yeah, or like
Basically, you can use it on enemies to push them into your team, even when they're not expecting it. You can use it on allies to push them into the enemy team if they, let's say, I'm a bloodthirsty melee fighter who wants to hit people, but once I start running into them, they just run away. You could push such a hero with 4 stuff in their faces so he can destroy them. As you said, you could save people, run away from danger, or chase down fleeing enemies. And in many cases in Dota, you could reposition either an enemy on ally in regards to a spell. Let's say Shadow Shaman's ultimate. You get caught by, like, your carry gets caught by the Shadow Shaman ultimate, and he's even hexed or stunned. He can't hit the wards to destroy them and leave. You can just cast 4 stuff on him and get him out of the wards, and he can walk away. Stuff like
I
that.
see. Okay, yeah, makes
Another
sense.
good item is the one that you make from arcane bolts. When you go up, the guardian bolts, the guardian greaves. Uh, Before making the guardian greaves, one of the components is the mechanism item. Mechanism is an item, when you activate it, it instantly gives 275 health to you and everyone around you. It's like an instant AoE heal. And it costs 100 mana. So passively it also gives health regeneration.
All right.
So this is like an extra healing that you can provide to your team in case your team needs it.
Okay.
Another good support item is the U Scepter of Divinity.
How does it look?
If you go to upgrades, then magical, then second row, second item.
Second row, second item. Use Scepter of Divinity, yeah?
The active effect is to lift either an enemy hero or yourself into a Psych 1 for 2.5 seconds. This makes the hero, like you or the enemy, invulnerable. But let's say he's running away. You lift him into the air, your team catches up, you kill him. Somebody like Crystal Maiden decides to use a Channeling Ultimate, or Lich uses Sinister Gaze on the enemy team. You lift him into the air, you cancel the Channeling spell, and GG.
Okay.
The item itself gives you 10 intelligence, which is like 10 extra damage. That's cool, not the point. It gives you maximum mana, it gives you mana regen, and it gives you movement speed. And all of these things are super good for supports because you need to get from point A to point B faster. Usually, you need mana regen to be able to cast more spells instead of going to the fountain every 2 seconds. And maximum mana allows you to cast all of your spells in the first place without going out of mana or mid-fight. So U Scepter is great, but it's a bit of a how do you say it? Item that's just for you. You can't really help. You can't really save somebody with that item the way you can save somebody with, let's say, 4 stuff for an item that heals an ally hero. But it's really good if like they have a Lich, as I said, and he will always catch your carry with Sinister Gaze. You can always stop this with a Cyclone, which is nice. And later on, if you somehow get to that point, U Scepter can actually get upgraded to an even stronger version of itself, which actually allows you to cast it on ally heroes, and regardless of what they get hit with, let's say the biggest stuns, the biggest spells in the game, whatever it is, almost 99.99% of the spells, you can cast it on your ally from behind and you can save him from that effect, which is freaking strong, but that's a very expensive upgrade. But it's a follow-up option if you are going ultra late game. Another good item for you as a support is Glimmer Cape. It gives you It gives you a magic resistance for yourself passively, 15%, not too much, not too little, but you're buying it for the active effect. You can cast it from 550 range, basically like the auto attack on Lich. And after a half a second delay, your target, which could be you, could be an ally hero, will become invisible, and the moment you cast it, he will also get extra 50% magic resistance, which is an insane amount. And the duration is
What was
5
the name of
seconds.
the item again?
Glimmer Cape.
Glimmer Cape.
It's
Yeah.
first row in the
The,
magical.
yeah, that's the one that you get when you turn invisible and stuff.
Yeah, so the drawback on this item is that you're buying an item which costs 2000 gold, and it's basically your early game investment. Any money that you make in the early game, if you're buying one item and you decide to buy this, it will be just this. It doesn't give you mana, it doesn't give you mana regen, gives you nothing that helps you cast more, and the item itself costs 90 mana to cast. But if you're playing against Lich, Wyan, Crystal Maiden, any of these magic damage heroes, their spells do almost nothing to the person that has the Glimmer effect on for 5 seconds. And it's an insane support item that carries mid laners, they never get this because they have more important stuff to buy. But if you're a support and there's a lot of magic damage on the enemy team, this is a perfect investment that you can go for. Again, you have to cast it before the spells land, not after. So it's like a preemptive item. But
Right.
yeah, it's really good. So I can also note these down in Discord.
Yeah, please do.
Uh,
I'll take note of them, and then next time when I'm playing, I wanna try them out. By the way, how the hell do you play against Sniper? That's
You
one
don't
thing.
care as position 5 about Sniper in most cases, unless you're a hero like Wyan or Shadow Shaman. Then you can get, or even Lich, but Lich not really. Lich buys other items. Heroes like Wyan and Shadow Shaman are heroes that buy very early Blink Dagger for the sole purpose of being able to initiate on a key enemy hero at the start of each fight. If there's a sniper who has a lot of items and is killing you every single game and you can't even get to him in the first place,
I
and you
know he's like shooting me from the other end of my screen. I'm like, how the hell? What am I supposed to do?
exactly, you're helpless. And
I
then you
am.
remember I'm Shadow Shaman and I can buy Blink with my 2000 gold after my boots. And you literally blink in front of the little dwarf. You hex him, you cast your ultimate, you cast your Forked Lightning, then you shackle him once the hex expires. And by the time you shackle him, he's almost dead already. And now he's completely helpless little dwarf that got insta-pooned by an enemy position 5. So usually you have other heroes on your team to deal with heroes like Sniper, like far out backline heroes that need to get reached. Usually that's like your position 3 offlaner or position 2 mid laner. They're most often the heroes that are killing such backliners, or later on your carry as well, in most cases. But if you're able to recognize that nobody's able to deal with a sniper, or let's say you lost 2, 3, 4, 5 fights against him, but the game is still not over, you can still adapt to it, and if your hero allows it, you could try to be the one that actually goes in his face. Even if you're not able to straight up kill him, if you, let's say you're an Omni Knight, you can't really kill a sniper because you don't have the numbers in your spells to do it. But if you buy a blink, you could run in his face, you can blink in his face, he will start hitting you. You use Purification, you use Heavenly Grace, you slow him down with your aura from the
The
shard.
hammer.
So the hammer, yeah, and then the shard, and he can't even escape. So if your team follows up on your blink, they will catch up and kill him. If your team decides to stay back and fight with his other teammates, Sniper will 99% of the time not ignore you because you're smashing a giant hammer in his face, even if you're not doing too much damage. It's the mental effect. On WoW MMR, everyone is like animals and like bulls, and hitting the first thing that is in front of their faces. So if you blink with Omni
Yeah.
Knight on Sniper, he will hit you 99% of the time. And then you just cast ultimate, which also catches your team. And okay, you did not kill Sniper, but Sniper is doing 0 to your team, even though you did not kill him. So yeah.
Win-win.
And your team is meanwhile killing his team. And when his team is dead, Sniper alone can do anything. So yeah, focus on
No, he's gonna get trolled by his team.
pretty much.
Like, well, why did Sniper focus on the fucking support? No one cares about the support. Crybabies. So yeah,
So
I think we covered everything. I can't think of anything else. I have questions about, at least for today.
yep, we
Um,
went through the whole agenda. We went
I will go
through.
back in and try all these characters again and see if I gather the confidence this week to actually play with players versus bots.
Yeah, I suggest that you start playing more with players because you will get. You got some experience. How many games approximately did you play with bots in that week?
Maybe 20 plus.
Okay, that's a decent amount of games, basically 3 to 4 games per day, depends on the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can start definitely playing with players versus bots. I assume the players there will be the least toxic, if they're toxic at all, because you are playing against bots for crying out loud. If players are raging there, I mean, God help us. But you will start practicing synergy with other heroes. Let's say you're Lich, you cast Frost Shield, the guy needs to run in. You could practice the whole ping your Frost Shield, cast it 1 second later, so your teammate will have time to see in the chat Lich is pinging Frost Shield ready. This indicates that you want to cast the spell, especially if he's a hero like Juggernaut, and he will have like a second to, or like 2 seconds, depending like on the attention span, for him to read it, and like you're practicing the whole communication, synergy, team play aspect of the game. Then you cast the spell, he goes in, stuff like that. He doesn't. You practice the deep breathing technique, not getting mad.
Don't cry.
No more. Yeah. And yeah, it will be good for you. Just maybe next time when you start playing, play one with bots to warm up, and then go into play versus bots, like co-op with other people. And what are the options there? Yeah, just leave, I guess, everything on. Default bots, ranked matchmaking AI, bot experiment, a beginner AI. Okay. You could leave all of them on, I suppose. Uh, bot script, in different games you will have different bots based on which bot script gets used for that game, which will keep things more dynamic for you, because bots will be reacting in different ways in different games, just like people will. And yeah, leave everything on. You could get unfair bots or hard bots with that, but at this point, again, you are not really playing to, like, your
I
goal is not to win, your goal is to get better, and you're position 5, so it's not like you are the least impactful hero to win, not at all, but uh, the late game carrying is left to the carries. That's why they're carries anyway. So if you do a good job early game and you know that you did a good job, even if you don't win the game, you don't have to beat yourself up about it. And by playing against better opponents, even if they're bots, it will build you better habits for the game. Let's say right now, because you're playing on easy mode, you are 100% building certain bad habits, which later on you will need to unlearn and replace with good habits. But that's how all skills in the world work. Obviously, with me as your coach, or whoever as your coach, the whole idea is to build as few bad habits as possible while building as many good ones as possible.
Yeah,
Uh,
you mentioned how the fact that I have 0 habits is a good thing because we can focus on building habits instead of breaking bad ones.
yeah, that's great in your case.
Mm.
uh, for example, I was pleasantly surprised today that you were already thinking by yourself about spell rotations in fights and why should you use one spell before the other, stuff like that. Which in your first week of playing Dota is good job, thumbs up, and other stuff as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
because of my history of playing even League of Legends, even though League of Legends there's this very little, I think, impactful skill rotation. Like most people just mash buttons and something happens. Um, like with Dota, I think it's very much more purposeful, and I've like looking at like the characters and like reading out what the skills do. It really gets me thinking. I was like, okay, I'm level 1. What do I have priority over? Okay, I could just go with the little like small burst of damage, but if I go with the other thing, the little slow thing, maybe I can like harass them a little bit more, and then I can get the small burst of damage to add to that harass, and then I get the thing when my carry is, I don't know, decides to move the brain cells for attacking, and yeah, it works out. And then once we get a good play in, I can like use that combo and it will work out well. And hopefully the stars align and we kill something.
nice, nice.
Yeah, but
Okay.
like yeah, it's for me it's a little bit of a no brainer because I actually read what the spells do. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It seems intuitive for in Dota at least. This is my opinion. Makes it more
That's nice.
enjoyable. Makes it a lot more enjoyable because then it's like and then depending on how the situation changes, you adapt and stuff. And it's like you always say about like Dota. It's very very much a lot of strategy, which to a new player is very intimidating. But when you see like the method to the madness, it's you start to get you start to see you know the beauty and like the mechanism.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's nice.
The
Eh,
whole beauty of the game, why we love it and why we hate it.
yes. and then and then comes the first idiot and it's mash buttons, fireworks, yay. Yeah.
Okay, so your next homework will be to go through the second tier of the tutorial.
Okay.
We already went through everything in that tier, but you will have an opportunity to repeat some of the things that we spoke about in like your own time and also see how the game presents it and
You know
mechanically experience them. Uh,
you know what's really funny? I didn't look through what the second tier learning is, and if I did, I wouldn't have.
what?
I didn't look through what the second tier was. I just like, okay, done with the first tier. Boop boop. Like I didn't even know that like all of my questions would be answered. Well, I mean some of them will be answered here. It's funny. I just
Nice. I noticed that you were already using the courier from the first tier cosmetic rewards. So yeah, each tier gives you some items, so you can get wards in this case as a support. And yeah, you also get
yeah.
these shards, by the way, that are used for more cosmetic stuff, but onto that next time. And okay, so the last thing in the second tier is watch a live match. Once you go through the whole thing, it will ask you to watch any uh, live game. Yeah, it automatically has a start button once you click on it. Basically, when you watch that game, Uh, focus on watching one or more of the supports mostly, how they're playing, and see for yourself how you experience the game while watching from the side and not while actually being behind the wheel, just as an observer, and see if you notice some stuff that they are doing that you're also doing. Let's say trading with you might notice the support trading with the enemy hero and uh, let's say using his spells in a different way, and you can think, okay, is he doing the right thing, or like is he doing something better than I am, or is he doing a mistake and I can recognize it. You
Right.
can notice him not giving health to his carry and you'll be like, haha, I'm better. But the whole idea is to watch other people, analyze their game, and use this information to improve your own game. This is the only main reason you should be watching replays. For
Mm-hmm.
now, don't focus on watching too many replays, but at least at the end of that tier 2, watch that one game and experience watching a game for yourself, and share with me next time like what made an impression on you, how was the whole thing for you, and yeah, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And focus on, like, we only mentioned certain things in our first section, like this is a hero, try it out, see how it works out for you. Now you tried like a bunch of heroes and you liked 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Play a bit more with them. Also, you tried out different items. We emphasized a little bit on them and like what is their purpose in a game.
Mm-hmm.
So think about what items you should be going for. Especially in your case, it's easier than for a new carry player because, like, I only have money for one item anyway. I just need to figure out what this one item is best for me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, think about those few items that we spoke about and try to think which of them will be best for you in each game. Like which pair of boots is better, and then what your follow-up item should be. Like adapt with your itemization for the game. And yeah, gain more experience by playing with players now, not just with bots. Mostly focus on playing with other people versus bots, and let's see how things will be in a week, and we'll move on from there.
All right. I'll give you like small updates here and there.
Of course, you can always hit me up during the week anytime on Discord.
All right. Okay. That was a lot. But it was. Let me say, the first session was also a lot, and the second session was like stomping on the same spot just to let it all set in. It was still a lot of information, but because of the experience I made this week with like playing and stuff, I understood a lot of it quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like I
we
still
are basically doubling down on some aspects while gradually adding more and more little by little. But at the start, at least, it's like a big chunk of new information, and then we continue uh, slowly but surely. We continue adding a little bit of more and more on top of the pile.
yeah, not like some people. It's like, oh, I've never played Dota in my life. I'll just jump in,
What are
see
these
what happens.
tutorial things? They're beneath me.
Skip, skip, skip. Hello.
Oh, you don't know what to do minute 16 into the game? I mean, why didn't you ask? Yeah.
But
So yeah, that's it.
next, they're just staring at like the way the base. No, not the base. The what is it? The outpost is rotating. It's like, oh, shiny.
Yeah, as we said last time, whenever if you feel like we're talking too much about stuff or the
Mhm.
information becomes too much, you should always like just raise your hand and say, okay, we could stop for today, or that's a bit too much. We don't need to go into too much details in that specific aspect. But
No, that's the thing. Yeah, every time when I'm like, okay, this I think I've gotten enough of this, and then something pops into my head. It's like, oh, what about this? It's just that it's not that I want to squeeze more out of you. It's just that the way I've been playing so far, I can see that these things I'm lacking in, and I would like for my next like play like week to have them ironed out, and like instead of, I don't know, maybe build a bad habit or something, or like go into it blind. Cause like I'm sitting and looking at all these items, and I'm like searching for like recommended and stuff, and like the recommended are very general. And I'm like, okay, if you're a support, you need sort of this kind of, and I'm like, okay, but like why?
yeah, that's good. I mean, you come up with questions that are arriving from your experience, and like you hit a bump, you don't know, like you get an idea that you should be doing or buying something, but you don't know why exactly, and then you ask stuff, like ask yourself, ask me, experiment and see if it works or not, and that's how you learn, which is great.
Yeah, partially I like the fact that I'm mostly drawn to characters that don't necessarily deal a lot of damage, but they have a lot of utility. And like
yeah, mostly yes, as you said, mostly.
I mean, like, well, he has a lot of like slows and like, and like hold in place and pull, and then a little bit like another little slow thing and stuff. And
You can easily
you
do
don't
like
need
above a
damage.
3000 damage in a fight without items, but yeah, he slows.
He's lost. I didn't even see there's an ult. I don't even level that thing up. What is it for?
Not to mention the 70% auto attack damage reduction, especially in late game. This thing is insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway. Thanks a lot. We can call it here.
Yep, had great fun myself.
Yeah, it was fun. It's always a lot of fun.
Oh, okay then. Good session and see you next time.
See you next time.